Okay, what up ladies and gents, it's your favorite Asian robot right here, hopefully your favorite official content creator for the first Descendant. And today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to do Ines Raya's bossing build. Alright, normally I do the farming build first and then the bossing build, but because of how important it is to farm Defiler, I will do the bossing build for Ines first. Okay, so I'm not going to waste your time, let's get right into it. And remember, if you enjoy my content, don't forget to register me as your content creator, link is in the video description. Okay, let's get started immediately. First, Reactor. Now, the ideal stats for her Reactor is going to be, let me just remove my green screen there so you can see me, so you can see the stats, not me. What you're going to need is skill attack versus Colossus. Actually, you want about 2,600, which is a gold roll. That would be ideal. If you have below that, don't go anything below 2,500 or you're going to have a bad time. This was the best that I could find because you're also going to need skill cooldown. Skill cooldown must be at least minus 0.06. All right, anything above that is usually good enough because what you need to do for her build is to reduce the cooldown of skill 1 to below 1.2 seconds, and this will achieve that. All right, for your components, you'll want to have a Slayer set, max HP, MP recovery out of combat, max MP, try to get a gold, MP recovery in combat, MP recovery modifier, defense. But for the last one, you want to have max shield, and if you're going to take on Defiler, you're going to need toxin resistance. I do not have that. I will show you how I fight completely without that, but your life is going to be so much easier if you have toxin resistance on this with a max shield gold roll. Okay, so that's it for the reactor and external components. Now let's talk about the weapon. Here in this particular build, the weapon is absolutely crucial. You are going to need a secret garden. Here's the build that I'm using with secret garden. I have tested with this. You can also choose to replace this with brisk walk. It's really up to you because you're not actually going to use your gun for damage, so the ultimate module here does not matter, but this is basically what I've got. Does the weapon build matter? Realistically, like I said, you're not going to be using it for damage. That being said, it is necessary to have this to get the unique effect triggered, as well as to trigger the debuff from your Inversion Reinforcer. Okay, so your secret garden is going to be important. Whether it has a weapon core or not is also completely irrelevant because nothing improves your walk speed. Okay, it can only improve sprint speed. So there you go. And you're also not going to aim. Now, if you can improve your hip fire accuracy, that'll be great, but you're not going to be aiming much. So aim shot accuracy doesn't really help, and the rest of this is just whatever. All right. Now, the main thing that you need to understand is that when it comes to the bossing build for Ines, and I'll showcase the bossing build against several bosses, not just Defiler, but the main focus of this video in the later half will all be Defiler. I'll show you a couple of runs so you can see that there's no such thing as like consistent 30-second kills. You do have to take a chance because it depends on your knowledge of the pattern, whether or not you hit enough crits, etc., etc. But I will still try and showcase the full picture and explain to you how we take on the Defiler. All right, like I did pretty much throughout the 3-hour stream that I did today. Now, for her build, here's what you're going to need. Time of the Hunting Hounds, all right, is necessary because this gives your first skill 3 charges and reduces the cooldown by enough to enable it to be spammed. All right, so the cooldown is 5 seconds per stack. I believe without this, the cooldown is 1.3, which is not good because you need it to be below 1.2, or rather anything below 1.2 is good, but 1 second is a lot better. If you have Time of the Hunting Hounds, this goes down to 1 second, so much better. All right. Now, this first skill will actually bounce more times based on your skill effect range, okay? If your skill effect, for every 60% skill effect range, you get an additional bounce. So what you're gonna need in this build is also skill expansion as well as maximize range. Your skill power modifier will suffer by a little bit, but this in total gives you about 180% extra range, which in turn means that you get 3 extra bounces right off the bat. You will bounce 7 times, therefore dealing 7 instances of damage, and the bounce toward you does not count. So you will hit the Colossus 7 times with each ball that you throw, which is absolutely important, okay? Now, other than your range increases, you're also going to need standard midair maneuvering. For this particular build, I went with Focus on Electric, Focus on Tech, because you want cooldowns reduced. For that same reason, Nimble Fingers and MP conversion is necessary. Losing the max MP sucks because her max MP actually increases her skill critical hit rate, but you need the cooldowns. Your cooldowns must be maximized. So this is why we've got 4 different things that enhance your cooldowns, and of course, Focus on Electric and Focus on Tech enhance your damage. The rest of the 4 modules are all crit-based modules. Okay, you've got skill concentration, skill insight, as well as front lines. All right, with these three alone, you have a 96% crit rate, which is good enough because you will never have 100% crits on this boss. The Defiler has huge crit resistance, so you cannot reach 100% no matter what. All right, so this gives you the best bang for your buck. It increases your skill critical hit damage by as much as possible, while also increasing your skill critical hit rate by as much as possible. Okay, so this is why I'm using those. Last but not least is Dangerous Ambush. Dangerous Ambush helps you during the step where you knock down the Defiler. Okay, which is pretty crucial to actually surviving, because if he goes into frenzy without you knocking him down, chances are you're going to die and the kill time is going to take longer. This has happened several times today, but Dangerous Ambush I have found gives the best bang for your buck. The other thing that I even tried was Multi-Talented and a couple others as well, but Multi-Talented, although it can seem that it's more consistent, your kill time is slightly slower and the knockdown is not guaranteed, so I felt that,
New subscriber detected.
Oh wow, I'm recording this on the wrong screen, aren't I? But welcome, new subscriber. Sorry, I'm supposed to record this on my recording screen. My bad. I'll shift over there right now. Okay, shifted over to the recording screen so that doesn't happen again. My apologies. But yeah, Dangerous Ambush gave the best bang for my buck, and I found it the most useful. However, keep in mind that if you're going solo, the 49.8% is only going to trigger when the Colossus is knocked down. When it's not, you're not even going to get the 24.9% bonus because the Defiler will be targeting you, so be aware of that. Okay, so that is it for the modules. Now you've heard the explanation of the build, the reactors, components, the weapon, the modules. This is it. Okay, now here's what we're going to do. I'm going to showcase this build against several bosses solo. All right, to show you that it functions in other situations as well. It is a glass cannon build. You don't really, if I were to remove my camera right now, okay, you're not really going to get much by way of survival. Your hit points like 2,400, you've got 1,220 shields, but you can pretty much still kill almost any boss in the game. All right, just make sure that you have your reactor fully upgraded and you're good to go. All right, let's start with, how about we just do Obstructor, Frostwalker, Molten Fortress. This is the showcase. If you guys are not interested in this part of the showcase, you can skip straight to Defiler. If you guys are interested in the showcase, then by all means, please enjoy. Okay. Let's make this happen. And of course, as always, we do this without editing so that you guys can see the full picture. And, you know, we're not lying to you. We're not trying to showcase something that's unrealistic. We will actually give you guys the full real deal. All right. Now, here's a little bit on the technique. When you want to do this, you should start by triggering your second skill even while you're in the barrier. Why? You can trigger Pest Control buffs. Now, it's not guaranteed, but if you start the fight with 3 Pest Control buffs, all right, a 3 stack of Pest Control, that's a lot better than starting the fight with nothing. And you can see your MP regenerates while you're not yet in combat. Okay, great. As soon as the fight starts, you want to shoot your gun and start triggering your first skill. All right, once the enemy is debuffed 5 times, you can just go around in a circle, shoot your stuff, and there you go. Now, the Obstructor is weak against electric, so of course it's going to die, all right? That's just a little teaser. Now, you might be wondering at this point, why did I not go through the Inversion Reinforcer just yet? Okay, this is the time for me to show you. The Inversion Reinforcer is a crucial part of this. But, okay, I wanted you to see a fight first so you can understand how this all comes together. With the Inversion Reinforcer, the main thing that you are going to need is, of course, you will choose the type of focus rounds to counter the enemy's element so that you can squeeze out a little bit more damage. But the main thing is actually the enhanced focus rounds. As I mentioned in a previous video with Bunny and the zero crit build with Defiler, you want to trigger bypass immunity. Bypass immunity up to 5 stacks gives you minus 20% to all attributes. It's a debuff that applies to the enemy Colossus, so minus 20% to their all attribute resistance is great because you want your elemental damage to do more. This also affects your skills, so it is very important. All right, being able to trigger this is quite important, and as you can see with every single fight that we do, all right, we try and shoot the enemy enough times to have the full debuff applied, and then we take it down. All right, now that you understand the methodology and the Inversion Reinforcer's main key component, the rest of the Inversion Reinforcer you can do whatever you want, but the standard stuff applies. So I'm using the same heightened sensory cells and the same antibody explosion that I'm using in most of these bossing builds. If you need a refresher, I can show you again as we go into the next fight, but the main thing is the bypass immunity. So once again, as you can see, heightened sensory cells, antibody explosion. You guys should be very familiar with these by now. All right. Start triggering your pest control by triggering your second skill. It's not going to hit anything, but you can just trigger it freely. All right. So if luck is with you, you'll get up to 3 stacks. If luck is not with you, it's still okay. All right. This is a little bit of a nice little booster. Now, it doesn't matter where you shoot the target, so long as you shoot the target. All right. Once you've shot the target enough to get the debuff, just keep spamming your first skill, and then it will die. All right. Frostwalker is dead right there. You didn't even get a chance to do anything. There you go. There's Frostwalker solo. All right. I mean, I don't want to really showcase the solos against easier bosses because this is the way it's supposed to be. All right, let's move on to the next. Now I'll do Molten Fortress, just so that you guys can get the full picture. But this is how you solo. It's a glass cannon build, but most of the time your enemies don't even get the chance to damage you. They don't even get the chance to react to you. Molten Fortress does, and you cannot actually be beneath Molten Fortress. So I'm going to show you where to stand because Molten Fortress is a bit unique. Molten Fortress will be tossing lava down beneath it, so you cannot stand underneath it, which is the ideal spot. You saw that with Frostwalker, I was pretty much underneath it because I want my bounces to hit the Frostwalker as much as possible. Now, the closer you are to the target, the faster your chain lightning is going to bounce. It's still only going to do 7 bounces, but the time delay between the points of damage is a lot lower, which is why you want to try and be as close to your target as possible in order to maximize the speed at which you deal the damage. All right, this is what will help you save time. So let's get into it. All right, with Molten Fortress, right, here's what you're gonna do. Okay, you still try and trigger Pest Control if you can, but where do you want to stand? You want to stand slightly off from the center, just underneath the face, okay? As soon as it's ready, start by casting and shooting. All right, it is going to start blasting you, but you want to try and stand somewhere where you can trigger the debuff, but also hurt this thing. If you don't deal enough damage, unfortunately, it will phase. Sometimes there is a little bit of luck involved in this, because that's just how it works. Okay, but don't worry too much because even if it phases, it's really not a big deal. And if you need it, you can just go touch some health orbs. Calm down, Ines. You're not screwed. Molten Fortress, unfortunately, will be one of those where it's a little bit iffy. Alright, you can one phase if you knock it down. If you do not knock it down, unfortunately, it will go into phase. But again, it's genuinely not bad. Like, it's not difficult to kill it or even clear it. There we go. Now, once the lava disappears, you can go pick up these health orbs if you need them. Keep an eye on its frenzy gauge, you can see. But once it gets knocked down, like, it's pretty much over for it. The only problem with Molten Fortress is that, do you see that you're bouncing off the middle of its body? So because you're bouncing off the middle of its body, unfortunately, it's not easy to get a knockdown on this one. So if you're soloing with this type of glass cannon build, yeah, you might struggle a little bit. Now, as this is a skill-based build, we are not going to go into Gluttony or Deathstalker because those generally are best done with gun-based builds. And realistically, considering the fact that you're a glass cannon, you really don't want to take those on with Ines. So, okay, ladies and gents, now we're going to get into the meat of the video, which is the Defiler runs. Now, this has its own section. That's why you're going to see a video cut here. But, you know, this is the exact same build. Nothing has changed. My stats haven't changed. The build hasn't changed. It's all the same. Okay? And just better show the Secret Garden as well. Nothing has changed here. But what you probably want to understand is that during the Defiler, I'm going to show you successes and failures here, okay? So I will try to do as many runs as possible. I'll try to at least do 2. I don't want to make this video go on forever either, and you've already got 14 minutes of time showcasing not only the build, but the solo runs and all that. So we've already consumed plenty of time. I don't want to consume more than that. So I'll try to showcase at least 2 runs if possible. And whether we succeed or fail, I will happily showcase that to you guys. So what you got to understand is that with these Defiler runs, there is a methodology to it, but RNG is a bit of a factor. Okay, there's no such thing as a consistent 30 seconds. It is quite literally impossible, and as you've seen on stream, if you get bad luck with its attack pattern, you are still going to die. So just be careful. As you already know, we try and get Pest Control up and running, then roll through its legs so that it does the slam, but doesn't hit you. Once you've rolled through the legs, okay, you want to just avoid this here machine gun move that it does, and if you avoid it well enough, you should actually be able to knock him down. Then once you knock him down, all right, make sure that the debuff is still on him, and you should actually be able to get him close to death. And there you go. This one was a perfect run. Okay, this one was essentially what a perfect run looks like. Now on the next one, well, I doubt we'll get 2 perfects in a row, but well, if we do, it'll show you that there is some consistency. Even then, I'm still about 30 seconds, so yeah, we'll do it again. On stream, you would have seen several situations where he did not get knocked down, or he fussed and he just did some other slam attack which instantly killed me. If you die, you're not going to get the 30 seconds, because not only will you have to come all the way back from spawn, but there's time that's taken to respawn, and he might go into frenzy already, which will absolutely wipe you, and you have to be extra cautious. There's a lot of situations that can happen. For the full thing, you can actually check out some of the streams that I did. If you need a link to the stream, I'll happily provide it to you, where I was doing testing for hours. But yeah, basically you want to stick to the methodology, do your best with the methodology, but if the methodology fails you, don't be too upset. Okay, it's a natural part of the whole process.
This is awesome.
Okay, we got lucky here. Again, you want to roll through his legs. All right, he can't hit you with that. But once you've got the full debuff on him, okay, you want to just move slightly away from him, so he's shooting you, but you don't want him to okay, good. This is an imperfect run. So do you see that? He went into frenzy without getting knocked down. All right, unfortunately, this will happen. This will happen, in which case, what do? Okay, you see this attack that he does? That will kill you really quickly. So you need to dodge those purple beams, as well as dodging the stuff that rains from the sky. He will also go into what we call the Dora the Explorer mode, where he's charging around happily, you know, knocking stuff over. Use your grapple to get as far away from him as possible, and then just debuff him. All right, so this is what I do. When he takes out the barrel of his gun, you want to start jumping, because it will throw off his aim, like that. As soon as the barrel comes out, you can start jumping. All right, sap his frenzy meter with damage, and he should stop his nonsense. Okay, there you go. So if you end up in a foobar situation, even if you die, you can still sort of recover as long as you're dodging the attacks. Get used to his pattern in case you end up in a situation like that. Like I said, you're not going to get the 30-second clear, but you'll still be around a minute. Okay, so I hope that this information helps. Thank you guys very much for watching this video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to register me as your creator if you enjoy my content. All right, I like to show the real situation rather than one ideal run and then showcase to you guys, okay, this is the way it is. It's not, because, and you guys know that for sure, because he does have situations where he's going to mess you up. In the grand scheme of things, most of the time, you'll be able to get a perfect run. I'd say about, depending on how good you are with the pattern, how tired you might be while gaming, you can usually get a very consistent timing. But there will be some times when he just goes off and does his own thing, in which case, you're fresh out of luck, pal. All right, here are the top supporters for January. January's top supporter list includes CG Mayhem right up there. Bravo7910 is our top tippers. Top super chatter is Lawbreaker. We've got D. Russ, Phil the Megapint, George Tishon, Chanel Name, Sir Tommy, Per Crab, BVS Fang. Top channel membership gifters include Arcane Silver, D. Russ, Jody Wilkins, and Chris Campbell. Thank you guys so much for supporting this channel. Thank you guys so much for helping me out with all that you do. I'm going to see you guys on the next one. Good luck with Ines's bossing build. Ines's bossing build. All right? And have fun. Even if it's glass cannon, it's pretty good.